Hello, everybody. This is Richard RJ Eskow for the Zero Hour with your moments of random news, the stories you might not have heard or might not have heard enough about. We lead with more information on the fact that the Dalai Lama, one of the most beloved figures in the world, considers himself a Marxist. In fact, he said precisely that to a young audience in Minneapolis not so long ago. That got coverage back in January. He said, quote, "As far as socio-political beliefs are concerned, I consider myself a Marxist." That's pretty clear and pretty straightforward. Now, a new article in tricycle.com, Tricycle Magazine, shows that this is not a new position for the Dalai Lama. He has said, in fact, that when he was living under Chinese rule, he was very impressed with many of the goals of the Communist Party of China, even though China wound up horrifically oppressing the Tibetan people and he became a refugee. He said that before the clampdown took place, he was impressed with the fact that party members were very dedicated to the service of the people, that he was very much impressed and told Chinese officials of his desire to join the party. And then again, in a book he published in 1996 called Beyond Dogma, he wrote, this was again the Dalai Lama, "Of all the modern economic theories, the economic system of Marxism is founded on moral principles, while capitalism is concerned only with gain and profitability." So again, the Dalai Lama, who seems to be perceived in the West as a light and affable figure, and at one point was used as a marketing icon by Apple, is in fact apparently a Marxist. Now, his skepticism toward the capitalist system might have been intensified this week by revelations that HSBC, the enormous Swiss bank, has in fact been helping in widespread violations of a public law. In fact, it appears that what HSBC has been doing is, well, let's let the story tell itself. Teams of journalists from 45 countries unearthed secret bank accounts maintained for criminals, traffickers, tax dodgers, politicians, and celebrities. These bank accounts and email records clearly show that, or appear to clearly show, that HSBC knew it was doing these nefarious things for nefarious reasons. One report shows that the leaked files relate to accounts holding more than $100 billion and that it involved arms dealers who channeled mortar bombs to child soldiers in Africa, bagmen for third world dictators, traffickers in blood diamonds, and other international outlaws. The documents were obtained by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists via the French newspaper Le Monde. We find, among other things, that HSBC helped to purchase a cocaine plane while the Justice Department was busy prosecuting the bank for tax evasion. It took no action against the bank for nearly 5 years. And now we learn that the Department of Justice may have known, in fact, about these violations, or some of these violations, for some time. Now, the feds caught HSBC some years back laundering $881 million in drug cartel money, and apparently the drug plane figured into that. So skepticism about the banking system, which is the heart and blood and soul of capitalism, therefore appears to be at least somewhat warranted. And speaking of bank critics, Elizabeth Warren, senator from Massachusetts, is undoubtedly this nation's best-known critic of the big banks. A new shock poll released by a pro-Warren group called Ready for Warren suggests that in fact she could, if she wished to, defeat Hillary Clinton, provided that voters got to know her and her policies a little better. Now, we will say the poll has come in for some considerable criticism because the way the poll was conducted, which they were very open about, is that they asked likely Democratic voters in early primary states which politician do they prefer. They got a very pro-Hillary result. Then they gave some information about Elizabeth Warren and her positions and found, in fact, very strong support for Warren and that she might represent a threat to Hillary Clinton as a primary candidate once those things were known. Now, there are flaws with polls of this kind. We may explore them more deeply in a future program. So we won't take the poll at face value. We understand the concerns and we'll explore them. But one thing appears to be clear. Everyone has already assumed that Senator Clinton is unbeatable. That may not be the case. I think it's uncontroversial to say that, reasonable to say that. If it is not the case, in fact, then we should be exploring what might happen to the Democratic Party in the next year, and that is worth discussing. I am Richard RJ Eskow for the Zero Hour.